Special guest who you have lined up to join us today. Would you like to introduce our guest?
Oh, the one, the only, Eddie Deezen. You know him from his role as Eugene in the ever-famous Grease. He is the guy that made nerds cool.
He's the
in
guy.
His role. He is the one. That role probably made him one of the most typecast actors in history, and he is with us here today to talk about, well,
Eddie being Eddie Deezen. This is what I want to learn about.
Eddie being Eddie Deezen.
Hi.
Eddie, how are you? Welcome to WCTC. How you doing today?
Thank you so much. I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good. You know what? I took a look back and looked at some of your work and stuff, and I have seen you in so many movies that I just loved growing up. Polar Express. 1941. You had one of the best characters in 1941. That was fantastic. That had to be a great time working with. That was a Spielberg movie, right?
Yeah, it was. Honor working for Spielberg. He's a wonderful, wonderful guy.
Not bad, right? Yeah. Laura had mentioned about some of the characters that you play. You've made this work and you've turned this into a pretty good career for yourself, haven't you?
Yeah, it was going good. Not necessarily so hot right now. Now I kind of do the signing shows. I'm kind of at that period of my career. I turned 60 in March. But, in fact, the last show I did, Chiller, I did with Laura.
Wow, that's
Laura's
right.
kind of on her way up. She's young and beautiful on her way up. I'm kind of the reverse vector, the old Jew, going to turn 60 this year. But you never know. That's the thing about our business, as Laura knows, and I'm sure you know, Bert, is anything can happen, The next day you can get that offer, you get that audition. Somebody calls, I want Bert, I want Laura, and, crazy stuff happens. So you never know.
Yeah, you never know. So you met Laura at one of these events. What was it like when you met Eddie Deezen there, Laura?
Eddie, I have to tell you, you are one of the most enjoyable people to meet as somebody who's meeting you for the first time. I can see that when you are at one of the autograph shows, you genuinely enjoy meeting your fans. Would that be accurate to say?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Don't you love yours?
I do. But you're so enthusiastic.
You do these shows, you sit around, they give you $20 for your picture. Everybody tells you how wonderful you are. It's the ultimate ego trip, and it's so much fun. And you meet the sweetest people. They're genuinely nice people. You'll see, Laura, I'm sure you had this. They'll pose for pictures with you, and you'll feel their hand shaking. They're literally shaking their hand on their back, to meet you. It's so fun. It's so cool. Yeah.
It is fun. But I was just telling Bert before the show that you have fans of all ages, and I think it's your personality that draws new fans in. Like even my little girl, she didn't grow up in my generation just automatically knowing about the movie Grease. But if somebody saw you from across the room, they would go, I want to meet that guy, because that's your energy level. That's your enthusiasm that you project, I think.
Oh, thank you, honey. That's so nice of you. Thank you.
Always acting for you, Eddie? Is this something that you always wanted to get into?
Kind of. Bert, it's kind of like, I don't know how you guys were. I couldn't do anything else, basically. I knew a lot about the Beatles. I knew a lot about baseball. There wasn't much, anywhere to go from there. I was always like the class clown. And this goes way back, but I wanted to get away from my dad. It was that point in my life. I wanted to get away from my dad and, start a new life. So I went to L.A., and ironically, Dad financed me. The early years, Dad would send me $400 every month. So life is kind of ironic that way. Dad and I never got along, but he knew this was important to me, and he financed me every month and kept me going. And without Dad, I would never have got Grease, or nothing would ever have happened.
Wow. So you had to believe in your career. You had to believe in what you were doing at some point to finance you in this journey you were on.
I think so. I guess so, yeah. I think he wanted me to be happy, You it's kind of like life, You go through all these squabbles with whoever, your father, your mother, your husband, your wife. Then, you kind of realize how much you love them. I guess that happens more with parents. But there's like these fights when you grow up, and then you realize you do love each other. There's this bond between the parents and the child. And Dad and I kind of realized that later on. Yeah.
Well, which of your projects, Eddie, would you say you had the most fun doing?
Oh, that's a great question. Well, Grease, I always say, they go, what was it like filming Grease? Grease was like a 2-month party. Imagine the greatest party of your life, the greatest party you ever went to, and it lasted 2 months. That was Grease. It was just fun from beginning to end. Everybody was wonderful. John Travolta, wonderful. Olivia was wonderful. All the cast and crew, that was fun. Polar Express, getting to work with Tom Hanks. He was such a cool guy. Tom Hanks is just how you'd imagine him. Just the coolest, nicest guy. And then we finished shooting my last day. He goes, Eddie, I hear you're a Dodger fan. You're a baseball fan. Yes, I am. Well, I have box seats at Dodger Stadium. And the guy takes me to 3 Dodger games.
Wow.
He's just that nice of a guy. Always a great guy. Zemeckis was my favorite director. I like 1941 because I love John Belushi. I love working with him. He was a wonderful, nice guy. Introspective, not the guy you imagine, The John Belushi we think of as like this Ralph Cramden kind of a wild monster, you know. But the John I knew, we would sit and talk. He was introspective, sit and talk, blah, 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 just like a regular guy, totally nice guy. Yeah, he was a great guy. So, you know, they've all been pretty fun with the exception of one or two, you know.
So would you say that your Tom Hanks moment is like one of your favorite off-camera moments? Because in my experience, sometimes the best stuff happens when you're not working with some of these icons in the industry.
Oh, 100%. I had Laura, when I did Polar Express, I had this coolest luxury ever. Every day Tom and I were in scenes together. And every day I had this period while they were setting up, I could sit and talk to Tom and ask him anything. And I said, what am I going to ask him? And it's like surreal, you know. It's like you're talking to Elvis, you know, to us, Tom Hanks, you know.
Right.
I'd ask him every day, what were your favorite shows when you were a kid? What actors influenced you? Who was your first crush? Did you ever go to baseball games alone? And I'd ask him anything under the sun. And he was very loquacious, very open. He answered all my questions, you know. And just the nicest, greatest guy. And, yeah, totally nice guy. Yeah.
Very cool. Eddie Deezen is with us this morning on Jersey Central, and Laura Madsen is here with us as well. I found something online, Eddie, and I always like to kind of run it by the people who are here. An interesting encounter between you and, of all people, Tanya Harding. Did you really have an encounter with her?
Oh, yes, I did. That was my first chiller. I did the last Chiller Theater with Laura.
Okay.
Laura and I were right by each other's tables, and I loved being with her. This was my first chiller in 2005. Tanya Harding was there, and this was shortly after, maybe a couple years after, the whole Nancy Kerrigan thing, you know, where he was hit with the pipe and all that, and the skating
Right.
championship and all that.
Right.
But anyway, Tanya was there. She was looked on as kind of a villain at the time.
Oh,
She
wow.
got hardly any bites. There was hardly any customers around her because she was looked on as like a bad person, you know. Not necessarily O.J. bad, but she was looked on as a bad person, you know. So she was lonely, and we started talking and all, and then we started making out. She was a great kisser. She was one of the great kissers ever.
I cannot envision Eddie Deezen making out with Tanya Harding. I just can't. Wow.
One of my great moments for me.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, right. Phenomenal stuff. Any projects in the work, Eddie? Anything we can watch that maybe you'll be appearing in soon?
I'm trying to think. Not necessarily. I did a short film, Bert. I just did a short film with my friend Larry Thomas, who was the soup Nazi on Seinfeld.
Oh, right. Okay.
We did a short film called The Love Suckers. And that was just a short. It was like a 15-minute film. Very funny, very fun, and that'll be making the rounds at the film festivals. I guess that's about all I've been doing on screen lately.
All right.
I'm doing another signing show in April, but I forget the name of it. But I'm going to do that, and I'm anxious to do that.
That's great. Do you know what part of the country the autograph show will be in?
You know, honey, I'm not sure. I can look up in my PM while we're talking. I'm good because my friend Sean, who I did my first chiller with, said, "Eddie, do you want to do such and such a show?" Let me see where it is, honey. It is called.
Let me just say, I could
Eddie,
hang out with Eddie every day. Let me just say that.
Megafest, they do it in April.
I'm sorry, where is it?
It's called the Megafest in April. I don't know where it is. You can Google.
Okay.
Megafest. Okay.
Megafest in April, and it might be in L.A. I'm not sure. Hopefully, it's in L.A. I can see all my old pals.
Yeah.
He says Barbara Eden and Shirley Jones will be there, just like our other show. So,
Right.
Yeah. So I love doing the shows. They're the blast.
Yeah, and it's great that
They're the funnest form of showbiz. There's nothing more fun than these shows.
It is. It's great. You know, it's just like you can't even explain everything that goes on that is on the surreal side of, when, yeah.
It's real, and it's beautifully touching, I'm sure you had that too, Laura. You had these special moments with these certain fans, and
Yes.
they'll tell you such and such, this affected my life, or you meant a lot to me, da-da-da, when I was growing up. But you wouldn't get that so much, but people would tell you different things than they tell me. But you had this special connection with some fans,
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. And then this time, if you get out to the West Coast, you're going to be hitting your fan base out there, which will be a little different. That's going to be a nice opportunity.
Yeah, well, I was out there 40 years. L.A., I was out there 40 years. I would do which they have a signing show out there. I do that every couple years. They're always the standard one. Oh, the Hollywood Collector Show.
Yes.
I did a ton of those. Those were my first shows. I've been doing these since the 1990s. I think my first show was like 1990, and I do the Hollywood Collector Show out there. So, I don't know, maybe I could luck out and get one of those out there. I think that's in April, too, in fact.
Okay.
Well, cool.
Yeah.
So where can people find out more about the projects that you're working on or your appearances going forward? What's the best way?
You can go my website is eddiedeezen.com, and that's all. My Uncle Leo runs it. You can always talk to him. Anybody wants an autographed picture, I think they're like $5 or $6. They're cheaper than at Laura and my shows.
I like the sound of that. Our shows. Yes, let's do that.
Yeah.
Excellent, Eddie.
And they'll pay us all this money. I don't know how you feel. I feel so overpaid, don't you?
Overpaid? Yeah. Okay.
Oh, it's just great. It's great. You know,
You, Laura, though, a lot of men want your pictures. A lot of guys probably want your pictures because you're a beautiful girl.
Right,
You know,
right.
Different flow than me.
you know, you'd be surprised. I've had a lot of young women and even some women that are, you know, a little bit more I guess more mature come up to me, and they've also wanted photos with me. It's really interesting. I love actually connecting the faces with the people who follow you, because sometimes you can't tell men, women, how old, how young, and to me that's always nice.
Yeah, I'm sure you're like, to the women, I'm sure you're a role model to a lot of them, especially the younger women starting out. You know, I'm sure you're a role model. Laura, how do I get in the business? Laura, this, you know, that kind of thing, you know.
Well, that's a compliment.
It's like the old cliche line, you meet all kinds, and you do meet all kinds. The only kind you don't meet at these shows, literally, is the mean people. The mean people we all encounter in life, you know.
Right.
You're at the market and somebody's rude, or you're at the bank and somebody's rude to you, but you don't meet them at these shows. Everybody at these shows, it's pretty much a love fest, you know. Everybody's pretty much nicer. Didn't you find that, Laura?
I did, and it's just a really warm, welcoming, fun environment.
Yeah, I guess mean people don't want to pay, you know, $50 or whatever and come in and do it, you know.
Maybe that's it, right? Yeah.
Mean people like to be mean for free, I guess. That's the lesson.
I guess. Eddie Deezen, great to have you with us this morning. Good luck in 2017. And, man, you've made people laugh for years and years, and you're a gem of a guy. You really are. It was great having you on the show today, all right?
Well, it was a pleasure talking to you, Bert, and the same to you. Good luck. I hope you have a great year. I know so many people had a bad year in 2016, but I hope everybody has a great year. I had one of my best years myself.
Good for you. Good. Let's hope it continues.
Great talking to you, Bert. And Laura, I love you with all my heart. You know how much I love you.
Oh, I love you. Thank you so much for coming on air today.
My pleasure, sweetheart.
Thank you, Eddie. Be well. All right.
Bye.
Take care of yourself. All right. Good to Eddie Deezen. There he goes.
Yeah.
Sounds like you two had quite an encounter when at the
You
chiller.
know, I would say we bonded over burritos.
Is that what it was?
The truth.
Burritos.
You know, like me being like the new kid on the block, I was just in awe of all of these people that have so much more experience in the industry that were just so nice and welcoming and ready to show me the ropes. And Eddie, I call him one of my table neighbors from Chiller.
Right.
And, you know, we're sitting there and you're kind of afraid to get up and leave for too long because you don't want to, you know, some people, they come for hours by bus or from across states, and they come up to you and they're like, I came here just to see you, and you don't want to be that person that's not there.
Right. Yeah, that's
But
true.
yeah, so, you know, Eddie had a surplus of food, and he kindly shared some with me so that way I wouldn't, you know, just fall over from starvation.
He's got a lot of stories. That's good. All right.
Yeah, we had a great time.